class. I have been so impressed with her leadership and willing to push herself in our class so far. And just FYI, the reason she was 2 weeks late to class is because there were some issues with her home school, sending school, that her and her mother didn't even know about EVIT or didn't know much about it. So I know you said Mom did the research herself, right? And then they got her enrolled with us, and she's been great, even though she had a 2-week catch-up duty. So I'm going to let you talk to Maya.
So Maya, tell us just a little bit about yourself. Tell us why you're interested in the VET program and what you hope to do upon completion.
I'm interested in the veterinary field in general because really ever since I've been really little, I've always wanted to be a veterinarian or just anything to do with animals. And after EVIT, I'm planning to go to college, hopefully U of A because they have a pretty good veterinary program. And I'm not really quite sure. That's really all I have planned.
That's a good plan.
That's an awesome plan. Maya, the intent of putting you up here is to embarrass you, so that congratulations about doing that. I always have a question of our EVIT students. What do you tell your friends about EVIT? Do you tell them about it? What's happening here and what happened for you and some of the things that they might be able to get here?
I always say that even though they would be coming in their first year as seniors, it's still really worth it because it's so much fun and you make so many friends with your classmates because that class, you all have something in common. You all want to go into that field.
So Maya, I say this all the time, that for us to be successful, we need partners. And clearly, your family has been a big partner to you in being able to be here. So would you like to introduce who's here tonight for us to thank them as well?
Sure. The one in the Hogwarts shirt is my mother. The one next to her is my father, and then next to that is my sister.
Outstanding. Thank you all very much for giving us the opportunity to work with your daughter. Much appreciated. Thank you, Maya, very much. Cool. Thank you.
And just FYI, so Maya is the goalie on, she actually goes to Mountain View. They don't have a lacrosse team, so she actually plays lacrosse for Higley High School. So we actually get a little two for the price of one because she can talk about EVIT at 2 schools at once. So I told her we'd get her out of here quick because she has 6:30 practice. So if you guys want to stick around for the next student or not, you're welcome to leave.
She has to answer one question, though. Are you attack?
I'm the goalie.
She's the goalie.
Ooh, my grandson was a goalie. That's good stuff. Nice job.
That's a good reach.
That's awesome.
So next I'd like to introduce our PM student of the month. This is also a first-year veterinary assistant student. So her instructor, she was nominated by Janae Galt. So if you want to come on up, and then if the student Morgan wants to come up. And I do want to share something real quick before I turn over to Janae. So when I told Morgan that she was the student of the month, she was out. They were actually outside doing an activity in class, and so I told her that she was going to be student of the month. And I said, "Do you want to? Let's call your parents." And she was excited about being student of the month, but she was more excited when I told her we can call your parents. We can do it one of 2 ways. I can just straight out tell her that you're student of the month, or I can play a trick and say that you got written up by your teacher and that you're in my office for that reason. She was very excited about pulling that trick on her mom, so I introduced it that way and then read the thing to her, and then she realized that it was actually a good thing that she was in the principal's office. So, Ms. Galt?
First, I'd like to say thank you to the board members for giving me the opportunity to present Morgan Mullins. The first week in my class, Morgan was ambitious, funny, and she had this phenomenal way of connecting with her classmates. So she's loving, caring, and I actually saw more in that personality. She was also passionate, dedicated, and super motivated. She was elected as my class president. She takes her role very seriously, and with all of these statements, Morgan can do anything she puts her mind to. However, I am so glad she chose veterinary medicine. So in her love for animals, it's what sparked her interest to come to EVIT. So she's exactly what the industry needs. Morgan is enthusiastic about learning. She's always the one with her hand up, pick me, and I can picture Morgan growing here at EVIT over the next 2 years, professionally and academically. So Morgan, continue to follow your passion, and it will take you where you want to be.
So Morgan, congratulations.
Thank you.
Same questions. Just tell us a little bit about you, what brought you to EVIT, what you plan on doing upon completion of high school, what you think of EVIT.
EVIT's great. I mean, it's so fun and I get to learn things that I didn't even know. I came to EVIT because, I don't know, I've just been always obsessed with pets. You can ask my family members over there. I grew up with dogs, and then from the young age of like 12, I got into reptiles, and then got into hedgehogs, and now I breed those. So
Wow.
that's fun. But after high school, I think I'm just gonna stop there, become a veterinary assistant, because that's just what I've always wanted to do.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You raise hedgehogs?
Yes.
They're very cool little animals, aren't they?
Yeah, they're real
So
cute.
is that your favorite animal now?
No.
Okay. What is your favorite animal?
Yes.
Wow.
What was that?
We'll say axolotl.
Okay. Not platypuses or anything like that. Okay. So, you get your sense of humor from your mom, your dad, your brother?
It's from my dad mostly.
Really?
My mom's not that.
So you didn't get your cell phone taken away after that trick, right? Awesome. Cool. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So would you like to take a minute and introduce your who's here with you,
Sure.
just because they're part of the success as well?
Right here, this is my 18-year-old brother. His name's Cadence. He buys a bunch of stuff for me. He's the cash in the operation because I don't have a job. Here's my mother. She's great, super supportive. And my father, he's, the best. That's it.
That's great. Well, thank you all very much for sharing her with us. Much appreciated. And congratulations. Thank you. As we know, we have two main campuses, and Mr. Fisher's not able to be with us tonight, but Ms. Kuhn is here to introduce Students of the Month from our main campus. Ms. Kuhn?
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Board members, tonight, the first student of the month is Dylan Walker, if you would come up here, along with his instructor, Kirk Pieper. Kirk is the adult education high school equivalent instructor. But before I turn the mic over to you, I want to give an addition to what Mr. Pieper said about Dylan. Mr. Fisher actually wrote an add-on, so it's kind of like a 2-for-1 for our teachers tonight and an administrator. He wanted to let you all know that in addition to what Mr. Pieper stated above, Dylan has met with him, asked if he and some of the other second-year students could be given approval to teach some of the first-year students to keep the class going while Mr. Wheeler was out and be able to lead the class until he was back. Dylan's drive to learn HVACR is so strong that he sought out and found projects that he could work on to the best utilize the time in class until his instructor returned. Dylan stands out among a sea of young men and women as the type of individual not just that you would want to hire, but the type of person others would want to follow and work for. Dylan exudes a level of maturity and professionalism often not obtained without years of experience in the field. And now Mr. Pieper will add to that.
Well, I'm not sure what else I could add to it, other than when I had the chance to substitute for the class when Mr. Wheeler was out, Dylan was always there early. He was like the first one in the classroom. He came and he brought his own backpack full of tools. He was ready to go into the lab. In fact, usually I'd say, all right, let's go to the lab. He was the first one in there. He usually led a group of other kids in there, working on different units. The very first day of class, we were walking, he was walking, I should say, first year students into and around the lab and then out and showing them the different machines they had to work on and how they were, giving them just a rough outline and how they worked. So this is going to be the next HVAC tech that I'm going to hire when my HVAC goes down. So he's willing to work with the other students to help them. He's helped other students in the class with their projects. And he's just an all-around really good kid. So I'm really impressed with him, with his manners and he's very polite. And good job, parents.
Very nice.
So
Very nice.
that's it.
Come on up. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Secondly, thank you, because as you know, because you lived through it, there were some challenges we had. And for you to step in and not only support your learning, but the learning of the first-year students and to support Mr. Wheeler is very much appreciated. I wasn't aware of that, and it was wonderful to hear that, so thank you very much. So tell me where you're from, what's your high school, what's your plan after finishing high school? Kind of walk us through that.
I go to Campo Verde High School, and my plan after is like go out, work for a couple of years, and then hopefully at some point start up my own business.
Very good. How'd you hear about us? How'd you hear about EVIT?
Campo actually did a tour here
Oh, good.
during our sophomore year, and I've been very hands-on and stuff, so I wanted to do something along those lines.
So what would you tell students that from Campo that maybe aren't aware of EVIT? What are some things you would tell them about us that might help them understand the opportunities too?
It's super fun, and that people in the same interest that you have is in the class.
That's great. Board members?
I do have a point I'd like to make with Dylan. The construction sciences, which you're part of, is a pretty growing industry. You already know that. Before you go on your own, contact the Arizona Register of Contractors to get a license. It's required. I'll give you my business card, so you've got it, so, thank you.
Right. So tell us who's here with you tonight, if you don't mind, because we know that it takes everybody to make a success.
Yep, so I have my mom right there and my dad right there.
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be with them. Much appreciated. Thank you.
I
Congratulations.
have a
Thank you.
question for him.
Wow.
Mr. Hart, I have a question for him. So if you're building a house, what brand of units would you put in your own house?
I like train.
All right, all right.
Not American Standard?
Well
Same
played,
company.
Mr. Hart. Well played. Very good. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dylan. I think we've heard a theme tonight. Everybody said how fun it is to go to EVIT and learn. What a great place to be. And so our next teacher is Nicholas Vogely. He's one of our newest welding instructors, and he'll introduce his student of the month. Nicholas?
Hi, I'm Nicholas Vogely. I'm a new welding instructor here at this campus. I brought Calvin Evans down here today because in my opinion, he showed some great leadership in our classroom. We have a big group of kids, over 120 students in our welding program over here, all at one time out there in the lab. 4 of us instructors, we're all big, mean guys that like to talk real loud in a loud environment, so it's a little intimidating for some of these teenage boys sometimes, and the girls as well, but they seem to be a little less scared of us. There was a day where a couple students decided that before the bell rang they wanted to leave class early, and we caught them walking out. And the next day when we called all 120 students out into the work yard to get them to be held accountable for their actions the previous day and kind of fess up to what they'd done, nobody wanted to stand up and say that they left early that day, and so we had decided that everyone in the shop was just not going to weld. We were all just going to clean all day. Everybody's going to pay the fine for the misconduct of a few. Mr. Evans here raised his hand and said it was me. I'll do the clean and let everybody else weld. And the 4 of us instructors were kind of shocked because we knew who it was and we knew it wasn't him. So we verified with him. We're like, you're sure? You know that means you're cleaning this whole shop this whole entire time all by yourself. And he's like, if it means the rest of the class gets to go weld, I'll gladly clean. So we said, okay, we put him to work, which was enough there, but within 10, 15 minutes of him starting to sweat outside, it was still the hot part of the summer too, he's out there sweating his butt off, working hard, cleaning for doing something that he didn't even do. Within a few minutes, there was another 10 to 15 students out there asking if they could help him clean. And I thought that it showed great leadership and kind of brought everybody together in that shop in my eyes, which I was really appreciative of. So that's Calvin.
Congratulations. So Calvin, tell us about yourself. Tell us your high school, what you're interested in welding, what you're thinking you want to do after high school.
This mic it's weird to hear my voice on the thing. That's funny. I've always been pretty good with my hands. I know I'd assume that's why most people are here, you know. And I learned about EVIT through my engineering teacher. I've always been really excited about like alternative education. You know what I mean? And I'm not too great in high school. I'm not gonna try and gas it up, but I excel here. I love it here, and it gives me something to do straight out of high school. I get my welding certs and I'm making money.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much the goal. I mean, hoping, the dream would probably be like automotive, fabricating parts and stuff and making, in the shop.
So let me ask you a question. You said you weren't really good in high school, that you didn't want to gas things up. Do you find that learning now in the context that you're in with welding makes more sense simply because it's application learning? Is it easier to understand given the context of the welding?
You mean just being here and
Yeah.
being able to get hands-on with
Yeah,
welding?
yeah.
Oh, 100%. That's the biggest thing for me. I sit in class and, I hear things and I take pieces of evidence, but when I get thrown out in that booth, that's when I learn the most, When I'm
good for
talking to
you.
other people, second years are most knowledgeable, I'd say.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Good for you.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Board members or?
Yeah, Calvin?
Congratulations.
Now your education, you understand how learning process goes, because we teach it properly here, I assume. When you go back to your school at Corona del Sol, that's where you're from, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a little bit easier for you to get in the classroom and learn a little bit more there?
Yeah, I'd say so. Because my mindset going in is, I got 3 classes, just gotta bang them out, and I get to go weld. It's what I like to do,
Get rewarded,
So,
huh?
as long as I pass, I get to keep coming here.
I can see why you like him.
I like
I don't like him too.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, I have a question because I don't weld. Know nothing about welding, but I've been thrown in the welding room many times. I really want to know how the instructors get 150-something teenagers to give their cell phones over willingly for 2.5 hours.
That's a good question. That is a great question.
And you guys don't complain,
Um,
at least that I heard.
there's a lot of steel pipes around, and I wouldn't want to get electrocuted by Vogely over here. He's kind of madman, but we're pretty good. I'd say you just throw your phone in and you're out in 2 hours. It's great. It's great.
So we know that it takes partnerships. Who's here with you tonight that you'd like to?
This is my boy Tanner. This is my madre, my sister over here. Tanner, longtime friend, and I was supposed to be in the AM, but then I heard he was in the PM, so I switched over there, and I think that was the wise choice. There's only like 80 kids in the AM, but PM there's a lot more people. So
Good call. Well, thank you all very much for giving us the opportunity to work with them. Very much. Thank you. Congratulations.
We have 95 booths.
And that's the Students of the Month, Mr. Watkins.
I can't see if they're all still there, but I would like to offer my congratulations to them as well as their families. Congratulations. That brings us to 6B, the campus renovation and expansion presentations. Dr. Wilson.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, as we've talked about over a number of times the last few months, we're still on track at the Power Campus to complete the expansion that we had started, but we also began talking about the work that needs to be done here at the main campus, not only in terms of renovation. As you're aware, not much has been done on this campus for the past 20 years to protect the investment that the taxpayers made. And so we began the discussion with our architects, Mr. Brubaker, to begin thinking through what is a reasonable timeline for renovation and expansion remodeling of this campus, while at the same time realizing that growth in our CTED is in the southeast sector, which means we most likely should begin thinking about a third building out at Power. And so we asked Mr. Brubaker if he could come tonight and just give you guys kind of a brief update, not on the expansion currently at Power, but the future opportunity both here at Maine and at Power. So, Mr. Brubaker.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Wilson, I'm going to bang this out in about 2 minutes so I can go do some welding.
That's the best thing I've heard. That's the best advice I've heard.
That is right on. I love that. And anytime you have a dinner at your board meetings, you just feel free to
Give me a
invite me,
call.
because that was excellent tonight. So thank you for the invite. As Dr. Wilson said, I want to dwell more on the future. You know, what are we looking at here at the main campus and at the Power campus? And by the way, thank you so much, Governing Board, for allowing me to continue. And Neil Peratt. Neil couldn't be here tonight, so I said, I got it, and don't worry about a thing. I'll mess it up, and you can deal with it later. So thank you for the opportunity for us to continue to work with EVIT. You guys have a special place in our career and in our lives, so thank you for that. Really, I'm looking at the two campuses in parts and pieces. Whenever you look at the main campus here, there's a couple of things that we need to take a look at. A life cycle analysis, which I'll get into that for you a little bit to explain what that is. And then once that is established, then actually look at the scope of the renovation here at this campus. And so this schedule is kind of broken into those two, the main campus and then the Power campus. I have that broken into several pieces. You really are looking at a new facility over there, a new building, but there's some other parts and pieces that need to happen at that particular campus. The first one is really taking a look at Verona Road and Edgewater. Verona is the road that runs on the north side of the campus that you turn off a Power Road onto Verona to get into your campus. And Edgewater is the road that borders the east side of your Power campus. And right now, Edgewater is not developed at all because it was not needed for this phase 2 that we're currently working on. And Verona is only going to be developed down to where the aviation is. But you can only kick that can so far down the road. Eventually, now that you're starting to look at some future buildings and development there, which I'm calling phase 3, where you're going to need to take a serious look at developing the rest of Verona, which will take you down to the east road, which is Edgewater. That will do a couple of things for you. Not only finish up your borders on the, obviously your west is Power Road, your north would be Verona, the east would be Edgewater, but it also gives you some access and helps with some of the circulation that we're dealing with. We're already dealing with the city of Mesa, making sure that they understand how we're going to circulate on and off of your site currently, and even then with the phase 2 with the aviation and engineering, but also then the future one. And then the third piece to the Power campus would be the actual building and what is going into that building. I know there's been some discussions with Dr. Wilson. I know he's still doing some studies with staff and so forth, but associated with that would be parking. As you know, when we did phase 2, we did a 2-story parking garage. The reason for that is we're trying to put these facilities on about a 17-acre site. And when you start using only surface parking and nothing that goes to obviously a second or a third floor, then we start using valuable footprint space or places to build buildings. And so that's something that we're going to have to take a look at. So you can interrupt me anytime you like. I'm okay if you have a question, but I'm just going to hit the Power campus first, the main campus, and then I'll hit the Power campus. I spoke of a life cycle analysis on the main campus. You have over 500,000 square feet on this campus. You have a lot of systems and building types and material types going all the way from roofs all the way down to your asphalt paving and your parking. One thing that a life cycle analysis does, it goes through and analyzes all of those areas, takes a look at your roof, your HVAC, your finishes in classrooms, the hardware, and then it even goes outside and starts looking at asphalt and parking, and it puts a life cycle number to that. You know, how much longer are the roofs going to last before you're going to have to do something to take care of it or improve it? And you got to look at it as these are your investment, and so you want to be able to take care of those investments. And the life cycle gives you that roadmap. So literally, when the life cycle is done, we will have every roof on every building analyzed on this campus, and we will give it a time frame and also a best guess, if you will, cost, because we're looking at roughly about a 5% escalation cost every year, not taking into account if COVID and things like that are out of the ordinary, that we can't foresee. But that gives you something, and you know, hey, this particular building, in 2 years, we're going to need to replace the roof, or we're going to need to recoat that roof. You know, these classrooms will need to be carpeted. The hardware, these doors are so bad that they need to be replaced. And so it allows you to budget. It allows you to also take an inventory. And then when you repair or replace those items, then that gets updated on that cycle. And obviously, the next time you have to deal with those get pushed down further onto your schedule. The reason why we feel that this is so important to do this life cycle is we just can't jump into this campus and start remodeling, start moving things around when we know that there are some things that need to be taken care of that go beyond additions, remodeling, and so forth. When you're looking at roofs and HVAC. So once we get the life cycle analysis done, then it will give us a clear picture of what we need to do moving forward. And it will also help us budget that. You know, if you ask me right now, what is the budget for this campus? I can't tell you right now because I don't know the condition of all your buildings and all your systems on this campus. But we will know that by the end of this year. We can move forward with that. So part of the schedule, we move forward with that first. We're able to do that analysis. We'll bring that back to you. Those programs will be turned over to the staff and the people here at this campus that they can budget and work with that as the years go on, and they have a nice baseline to start with. And then we can take a look at what's going to take to take care of, what kind of monies is going to take to be able to improve those areas, and then what do we need to do beyond that for remodeling, renovations, and so forth. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, that's a Reader's Digest version of the life cycle that we're recommending. There's a lot more to it, but I just wanted to give you an overview. Are there any questions or comments on that? Yes.
Yes, I've got some questions. Hopefully I didn't interrupt. I appreciate the Gantt chart.
Yes.
But what I would like to see, I'm kind of a visual guy. If there's something, you know, a simple drawing of the Power Campus with some ideas of where those roads are. I've got north, south, east, west. I know there's some ASU buildings out there and things like that. Doesn't have to be really detailed, but just a line drawing. It's something that I'm sure Mr. Gornick could do, like at lunch break tomorrow, instead of goofing off. So,
yes, it is. I understand.
But something like that, it would be it would help me a lot understand that. And the life cycle of the building is definitely, of all of our buildings, is definitely a concern always. You know, what's the roofing life cycle on this building compared to another building that's newer and those type of things. So
correct.
I appreciate that. But if you could do that, that would be awesome.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that I just am so appreciative on the life cycle, and this is just laying our cards on the table, right? We don't really have an idea of what we need to be doing on this campus to protect the investment the taxpayers made to build this space. And so from our perspective, the idea of not only knowing what we need to do now, but what we need to be doing in the next 2, 3, 5, 8, 10 years is not only fiscally responsible, but it's a good stewardship to the dollars that were spent on this build, on this campus, and then on power as well. And it also gives us a realistic dollar amount that we have in terms of remodeling this space. And so we may think that a remodel is X amount of dollars, but we find out that the life cycle analysis says that we have to replace building roofs at this amount now. Well, that remodel cost may have to come down, or the remodel cost may need to get stretched out over an additional 12 or 18 months. And so I'm really appreciative that you guys brought this to us, because I think this really gives us a much better financial planning, but also better understanding of the work that needs to get done. So thank you for doing that. I'm actually looking forward to it.
So Dr. Wilson, and documented maintenance schedule, or in the past, what's happened in each one of these buildings, what we've done for roofing, where we've done a patch, where we've done these other kind of things?
So we have what we've done, but in my opinion, and Edith can correct me, because oftentimes I'm wrong and she's right. We've documented what we've done. What we don't have is documenting what we should be doing when we should be doing it.
No, I understand that, but
Yes,
by knowing,
yeah.
you know, if we have one building, for instance,
Correct.
that we're fixing something
Correct.
every 90
yes.
days, that would probably be when you go after the worst problem to start with. You know, you've got a leaking roof, everybody thinks, well, it leaks on the carpet. The worst part of it is what it's doing to your structure and all your substrates and all of those things, and we don't really see those as the general public doesn't see that. Okay, the roof leaks, we got that fixed, we cleaned the carpet. So what's it done to the foundations and the walls and the interior?
So we do have what you asked, yes.
Okay. Would that help?
So I had a question about the parking.
Yes, sir.
So, you brought up the parking and the need to address the are you talking about a separate parking structure? Or are we talking about integrating some parking in the lower floors of the new building?
No, the life cycle for this campus, the main campus, only takes a look at existing conditions. It has nothing to do with design that determines, okay, you need to add more parking or whatever that might be. That will be something, once we get the life cycle done, then we can take that and start looking at the program for this campus. Example, we might see a parking lot that needs to be resurfaced, but a master plan, as we start planning this facility or this campus, says, well, we're going to do something else different in that location, so there's no need to spend money on resurfacing that parking lot if you're going to add some kind of a park course or whatever it might be. So the life cycle is only evaluate existing.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I know that this campus is more than 25 years of age when it was first built. How old is the oldest building? Do you know? When was the first? I know, because
you
I
might
came
know.
here for stuff in
I
96,
think
I know.
we're in the oldest.
96, 95.
I think this is the oldest building.
That was originally the farm
But I mean,
building.
Yeah, I
right,
mean,
outwards, yeah. Do you know?
Mid-80s.
yeah, this one's 300 years old.
I think you're looking at some mid to early 80s. I think some of the buildings
Here?
were done, yeah. So
Not,
when that, yeah, maybe so.
That's longer ago than you remember.
well, you know,
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
oh, great, thank you.
They found one bag and it cost $1 million to remove it.
Any other questions? So we will periodically come back to you with updates on what we're doing here in addition to the updates on power, but I just want to thank Don for taking the time to get this conversation started. Thank you.
You bet.
That's all I have for that, Mr. President.
Thank you. That brings us to agenda item 4, approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting on the 13th of September. Do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the regular meeting minutes from September 13th.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Oh, Ms. Boggs, are you there?
I am.
Okay. Will you call for the vote?
Yes. Lane?
All I see is the traffic map of the valley.
Covington?
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Fleetum?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Watkins?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
And Hobson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That brings us to agenda item 5, call to the public. Dr. Wilson, do we have anything here?
No, sir, we do not.
That brings us to agenda item 6, A, personnel of certified and classified requests. Do I have a motion?
Can we combine A and B together?
I would like to move that we combine item 6A through 6G.
I was going to combine the last deposits, descriptions of the job anyway. We can combine all of them, as far as I'm concerned.
So A through G.
A through G, that's my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to discuss a couple things that I think are in, if I remember, if I pulled them out of the order, that was the hard-to-fill hourly positions, right? That's in there?
The hourly
That was
positions,
C.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The hard-to-fill hourly positions,
Was that C?
We can still discuss it with.
It is C, yes.
it's C. The hard-to-fill hourly positions as listed here, custodian, warehouse assistant, warehouse helper, or maintenance helper, and security guard, with current hourly versus proposed hourly. Our proposed hourly is still in the vicinity of a couple of these jobs, $1 to $2, and in some instances, $3.50 less than Chick-fil-A. I suggest, my personal opinion is, a custodian would help identify certain things that we need to do in our building, that the proposed, though their increases for what they are, is still going to leave us in a position where these are hard to fill, and we're going to be fighting fast food restaurants, part-time fast food restaurants for these hourly rates.
I don't disagree with you at all. I think the challenge that we had in doing this is doing an analysis of what our competitors are paying in the same space, and that puts us competitive to places like Mesa, public schools, and others that are in that same space. But like you, I've made the comment before that I can go into a gas station and they're starting at $14 an hour. And so we certainly can go back to that and raise those up based on an analysis of what maybe the private sector would be paying versus what we find in the public sector.
Well, my suggestion is if we're paying what the local schools are paying, then we're still in the same boat. We have to be over. I mean, to draw talent anywhere, you have to pay a rate that's going to get that talent here. That's my opinion. I know we have to go however we go, but if we're struggling, and any of these jobs can be filled with that kind of making more per hour at a place that probably has less responsibility per se than a campus custodian, campus security guard, warehouse assistants, and maintenance helper, then that's what we're going to get. Not that they're not going to be good people, but they're going to be they're not going to be the level that we need to take care of those things.
I would like to weigh in on that. I agree with your concern, Mr. Fleetum, but I think also we need to take into account the benefits package that we offer here. And that's hard to monetize, and even for the prospective employees, that's a hard thing to wrap their head around, but that's worth a lot.
Dr. Wilson, how long have these positions been open or trying to be filled?
So we've gone back and forth. The truth of the matter is that we have individuals right now that are willing to accept the positions, but the rate that we're offering, they most likely won't accept. The rate that we're proposing, we believe that they will accept. The question, though, still goes back to Mr. Fleetham, is that enough, right? And I think that's a fair question. And so my recommendation potentially would be to approve this, but then allow us to go back and do an analysis that does a comparison between both private and public sector for similar like positions, and then come back to you so we don't lose the candidates that we currently have, because we can't pay them any more than what you approve. And we come back to you the next meeting with that analysis, and if the decision is made to retroactively change that starting salary, then we can do that for the individuals that we just hired, as well as potentially then float that increase up the scale, because in some cases, the amount that you're suggesting is going to put new hires above those that have been working here for a period of time. So we'd have to domino the scale, which is okay, but that's going to take a little bit more time.
Yeah,
But
that would
I
have to
think
be
you need
fixed.
to monetize.
We have to anyway. That's it. We will.
Monetize for the benefits package.
And we can
Not
bring
only
yeah.
for the job candidates need to realize that, and that's a hard.
It is.
For entry-level people, mainly these are gonna be young people early in their careers, and that's a really hard thing for them to wrap
It is.
their heads around. And that's something they're not gonna get at fast food.
Correct.
I'm not sure that's the truth.
Well,
My
they're not
grandson
eligible
worked.
for Arizona State retirement, they're not,
I got you.
There's a lot of things that we offer that fast food doesn't.
So again, my recommendation would be to make a decision to increase the monetary amount tonight to whatever degree the governing board feels comfortable increasing. If an analysis needs to be done, which I would understand, then I would increase it at least the amount that is being proposed so that we could attract those that we currently have been interviewing, and we can come back to you in 2 weeks, because I can't keep those individuals that we're currently interviewing out there for 2 weeks, and you guys won't come back. So we need some opportunity to move forward, but at the same time, to your point, to do a different analysis that is comparing not just the public sector, but also the private and public sector.
Dr. Wilson?
Yep.
Dr. Wilson, this is Bill Hobson.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Watkins, can you hear me?
Yes.
I would trust that with the folks that you're interviewing now that you think are likely hires, that you're going to explain to them the benefits, the benefits package, and how this is really a dollar and cents issue. And so your suggestion, I think if you do that, your suggestion is going to tell us pretty quickly if it's adequate for hiring quality staff, because some of these folks may not choose to accept your generous benefits package and the proposal, and you'll be back here with us suggesting that you need more. So I like your suggestion, and I would just encourage you to, as Mr. Lane has suggested, to fully inform these folks of the value of the benefits package they're getting.
That's fair.
Is there any discussion, any further discussion? And I have a question. Was this discussion before or after the motion? I can't remember now.
After.
It was after the motion.
Oh, so we can call for the vote. Ms. Boggs?
Unless there are any other.
Unless there are any other questions, yes.
Dr. Wilson wants some monetary value. I can see the custodians were paid $13, security guards are $12.50, security guards raised to $14.50. Custodians, why can't we go $14.50 there?
You all can do whatever you choose. That's the beautiful thing about the country. Well, what I think is I think that makes sense. I guess what I would want to do is to do from my perspective, I think you would want to do some sort of an analysis to see where that really slots, and then also an analysis to see what that does up the salary scale. Because if we have an employee that's been here 2 years that is $2 under that, it's going to roll up. They're going to have to roll up too, which is okay.
Yeah.
But I would think you would probably. Yeah. I would suggest you might want to know what that dollar amount is moving forward. And we can certainly do that, but maybe give you that information before you roll it that forward. I mean, but it's you guys can make whatever. I mean, obviously, whatever you think is in the best interest of the organization, will do.
I think we need we have to have a starting place, and we need to start, and then we come back and look at it again.
Is there any other discussion? Or, excuse me.
No, I'm all for that if Dr. Wilson and his team will come back with an analysis, would be great.
Makes sense.
I am a big believer that you get what you pay for, and so if you're shortened, if we're ultimately not going to be paying people well, we're not going to get good staff. But I think Dr. Wilson's suggestion about how to do this is the right one. We approve this and come back with a study that shows the effect of this and the domino effect as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's an important figure as well to know. So,
I agree, by the way. Any other discussion?
Call for the question, which means vote.
I couldn't hear what you said.
I said a call for the question, which in parliamentary procedure means call for the vote in your language.
Okay. Ms. Boggs, will you call for the vote?
Yes. Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Fleetum?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Watkins?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
And Hobson?
aye.
Okay.
Motion carried. That brings us to agenda item 7, information and discussion. Board policy, I believe, calls for Kevin Colbrook to address the board. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Back in July, the district adopt a new mission statement, which is on the district's website. But our first policy in our policy book is policy A, which doesn't have the current mission statement. So I think we need to change policy A with the new mission statement, and there's a whole lot more in our policy A than just the mission statement. So I just thought you guys would like to have a discussion and tell me what you wanted to say instead of what it currently says. Your options are really endless. We can just put the mission statement in and call it a day, or you can put the mission statement in and add all the kinds of belief systems that are currently in there.
So the question is, do we want to put the mission statement in the policy that states that this is the mission statement?
That is correct.
Have you gotten any input, like from our superintendent?
Yes, I have. He said, it's entirely up to the board.
Pass a buck.
Honestly, I'd put the mission statement in and I'd get rid of everything else. I think the rest of it's
I
ridiculous.
agree.
Thank you, customer accreditation, and moving forward, it will be a lot easier to align handbooks and language if it's,
It's a mile wide and an inch deep right now, so it just means nothing.
correct.
I move that policy A, the district mission statement, include.
We're not voting.
Can't,
It's just
we can only discuss.
Can't vote, never
We're
mind.
not voting.
You can tell me that I will
can't call
revise
the
it so
question.
that it's just that mission statement that
Please
you
do that.
adopted in July.
Revise it.
Less is more.
I know you're
Okay.
a contractor.
I will do that and bring it to you at the next meeting.
So, Kevin, will you bring that back to us, or is this the approval of it?
No, I have to bring it back at the next meeting. You have to do a first and second read.
Does that bring us to 7B?
Yes, it does.
Okay. It looks like there's a familiar person here. Chief Academic Officer Rhonda Doolin.
hi, how is everybody tonight? I'm very excited to be
Hi.
here and be addressing the board. Thank you, Mr. President and board members. I just wanted to kind of give you an update. I have to put my glasses on so I can see, as you know, regarding our simulation labs and requests that we have moving forward. This is mostly for your information and discussion so you know what things are going to be coming your way. And one of those is going to be a request to build out the simulation lab. As you know, we have simulation space already present in Building 15. We want to make that space actually usable. The way it was built is not conducive to student learning and the environment, nor is it conducive for a multi-system SIMS, which would mean we could use all the different things that we teach here in the campus, all the different programs at the same time, multidisciplinary. We can have EMT using the SIMS, as well as nursing assistant, as well as LPN program, as well as fire and law. They all have a role in the simulation that we can put together for multidisciplinary sim, but our space is just not conducive to be able to do that. The other issue that we're hitting upon is there's not enough clinical sites out there that are allowing students in because of COVID. Dr. Wilson and I were on with Queen Creek. This last week, Queen Creek High School does not have the ability to get clinicals. Their clinical partner will not let students in without the COVID vaccine, and they have about 17 students who do not have COVID vaccine, nor are they willing to get the COVID vaccine. That means we have students who could potentially finish this program and not complete unless we work with our sending districts, as well as work with our students who are in a similar situation and do an innovative program through the Board of Nursing. But to do that, I have to have a sim lab. Sadly, I asked Ms. Mitchell to check on that to see how far I could push that without a sim lab, and the answer was a hard stop. So in order to get the approval to do the innovative program and to even have a chance to be able to get these students the education we promised them, we're going to have an option that does not put them in the clinical space, and we'll do 100% of the clinical time in simulation for those students that this will affect.
Oh, that's
So there you go. And it is ongoing. It's something we'll always be able to use. It's not just for COVID, but I will tell you from a financial perspective, it's coming from COVID dollars.
Correct.
So.
Okay.
All right,
Is
thank
that
you.
more to come soon? Like, you want dollars?
I hope very, very, very soon, because we need to get the equipment ordered. I'll just let you know right up front. The equipment's about 3 months backlogged to even be able to get the simulators on our campus. The building could be renovated possibly before we ever get those simulators to show up. So the sooner we can get it approved and I can at least get the simulators ordered, the better off we'll be.
Get to work.
Come on, Rhonda.
I need money from you guys. I need approval from you.
All you gotta do is tell us how much.
I like discussion questions when I
Hurry
spend
up.
money.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I think we're moving on to item C, I think.
Okay. EVIT membership in ASBA, Dr. Wilson.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, this isn't an action item, it's just an update and then a discussion about a future action item. We're still working with Westmac to see if we can have a joint meeting between our board and their board and some members of representation from ASBA, as we talked about several meetings ago, because I know there's some questions, there's some concerns that exist that are legitimate. The challenge with it is that our dues for ASBA are due, and they were due back in September. And so we're going to have to make a decision the next time we're together as far as whether or not we want to maintain a relationship for ASBA, at least for this year, in terms of paying the dues as we try to work with them and Westmac in order to better understand kind of the direction they're going. I know that's not a best case scenario. I think that, ideally we'd like to have the discussion prior to that. I just don't know that it's going to get pulled together as fast as we would like it to be, and in a way that allows us to give you that information before we're in a position where either we pay the dues and for a year, or we don't, and if we don't, then by default, we're no longer part of ASBA. So it's not an action item tonight. I just wanted to tell you where you're at and then be willing to answer questions that you may have about that and about what might come to you at our next meeting.
Did you say they have not responded to the invitation?
No, I'm actually working with Mr. Donovan to see if we can't set a time to figure out. There's some logistical issues that Westmac is trying to work its way through, and so we're working with Westmac to see if we can't get together. ASBA will meet with us whenever we're willing. It's more a function of us making sure that we and Westmac are in alignment with what we want that evening to look like or that afternoon to look like.
So
And that's been.
where's Pima J or CTED fit in? Are they participating?
We have not necessarily branched out to the other CTEDs. I mean, we certainly could.
I think that's, I wouldn't put all my eggs in with what Westmac does. I think we need to see where everybody stands on the issue.
I would be happy to reach out and see if everybody.
At least the ones that are,
the bigger.
The larger
Yeah.
ones,
I'll tell you my recommendation. I know this isn't going to be a crowd favorite. My recommendation is that we would be in a position where we are sticking with ASBA for the remainder of this year at least. And then that gives us from now until the end of the year to have those kind of discussions. I know that that's not necessarily what some want, and I respect that. But I think if we're going to then branch out and include Pima JTED in that opportunity, then include STEADY in that opportunity, include Cabin in that opportunity, well, that's a much bigger logistical discussion.
Well, that's information that ASBA can provide you. They either are or they're not participating.
Oh, you mean if they're participating? I thought you wanted to participate in our discussion. No, I can find that out.
That's
Yeah.
way too much.
No, I can find. I was going to say that's going to be a lot more.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I absolutely can find out if they're who participates.
I think we should
Absolutely.
do it. We have a new board member coming on. They have training in January at their annual conference. New board member training.
How soon do we have to renew?
It was due September, and I'm doing the slow roll.
Right.
So
I appreciate that.
yeah. So I mean, I can slow roll it a little bit longer, but I think that to Mr. Lane's point, we participated in the other issues that ASBA provides, and if we're going to do that, then we probably should pay our dues. I just didn't want to pay that yet until you all had an opportunity to feel comfortable with it. And we are working to logistically schedule the opportunity with Westmac, and I certainly can poll and find out what the other CTEDs are doing.
Yeah, because what Westmac does on its own doesn't really.
No, I thought the conversation
affect me at all.
I thought the conversation was you all wanted to have a joint meeting with Westmac and ASBA.
Well, that's fine and good, but that's not the definitive.
I wanted to invite all the board members everywhere in Arizona to that discussion.
Well, Dr. Wilson, I
Yes,
have a
sir.
question. Early on, when we first started talking about this, there's an annual membership fee,
Correct.
okay, that included something else as well, right?
Correct.
That we talked about,
Board docs.
the board docs. So
It's
the
just
annual
it's a
membership.
discount on the
It's
board
a
docs.
discount on
Okay.
board docs.
So
yeah.
so the annual membership fee that includes board docs is what?
12,400 and something, I think.
Okay. And in that includes board docs.
About 2,000-ish.
Okay. How much is board docs without membership?
It would be about, it's either a 10 or 15% discount with it, so 10 or 15% above that 2,000, because the ASBA to it is 10,000.
So 2,500 maybe? Yeah. And the outside?
Yes.
2,500 for board docs or 12,400 for membership that includes board docs?
Correct. Now, there are other alternatives to board docs, which you had alluded to, and I think that would be worth exploring, but then we start unpacking a bunch of different variables.
Well,
and so-
we've already done that. You know, when we adopted board docs, we went through a pretty exhaustive process to vet the other providers, and this appeared to meet our needs better. You know, the $1,000 or $1,500 discount, that doesn't make or break the issue to me.
Right. And if, I misspoke to you, I apologize. I had said that the ASBA tuition was due in September. It was actually due in July.
Yeah.
So I've been slow rolling that.
Can you make like a monthly payment?
Allotment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little
No.
here and there and
It's
tease
just
them
a-
like we're doing.
Keep it going?
Yeah,
I think there's a
like a bad credit.
competitor
Bad
getting
credit
ready
rating.
to start.
I think we need to move forward, and then if we're gonna do something
I get
different,
drowned
we
out
do
a
it
lot.
next year. Because, you know, that's operating in bad faith. If we haven't notified them 90 days after the due that we're not gonna participate.
There is a competitor.
So what I'll do is I will continue to work, see if I can't get something scheduled with Westmac. I will find out from the other CTEDs, either through them or through ASBA, who's a participant in ASBA. And I will come back then at our next meeting with an action item to either approve or deny the fee for this year. And then whatever decision is made is the decision that will carry us through till the end of the year. It would be my recommendation that we stay where we're at for this year, and then understand potentially that come July of the end of this year, we may not, because there may be a new.
The amount that requires board approval?
I believe everything requires board approval.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
I do. It may not, but I'll be honest with you. I also, I mean, this is your guys' association. Yes, we have it impacts us, but it's the Arizona School Board Association. And so I think there's value in you all owning the decision one way or the other versus me, doing it because historically, it may have been that we could just pay it. But I think it has become such a contested issue that I feel more comfortable you all having a say in whether we continue on or not just simply administration.
A competitor's getting ready to start, and it's Arizona Coalition, and we'll be getting emails very soon about that.
And that's
just for a heads up.
And that's potentially why I think the idea of saying as new vendors, new opportunities present themselves is this is only a year-to-year relationship. And honestly, we're almost 6 months into that year. And we participated in some of that 6 months. And so, what is the next 6 months going to look like?
I think we need to just pay it and worry about it going forward. I think I think it'd be bad faith for us to not pay for this year.
Okay.
I don't mind watching and seeing what they're doing, what they're introducing to schools anyway for this next year.
Okay. So I just want to give you an update on that. I'll do the back work that I said I would do, and then I'll bring it to you next month, and we can have a further discussion when it's an action item, okay? That's all I have, Mr. Watkins.
Oh, thank you. That brings us to 8, agenda item 8. That is 8A is use of cooperative contracts for the Power Campus Expansion Project. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the use of the cooperative contracts for Power Road Campus Expansion.
Mr. Covington seconds that.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Boggs?
Lane?
Aye.
Covington?
Aye.
Fleedham?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Watkins,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
and Hobson.
Aye.
Motion carried. That brings us to 8B. This is a policy revision, second read, that I believe we discussed at the last meeting.
I did.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we adopt the amended policy BEDH.
I'll second. Hart.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Boggs, I'll call for the vote.
Lane,
Aye.
Covington,
Aye.
Fleetum,
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Watkins,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
and Hobson.
Aye.
Motion carried. That brings us to agenda item 9, staff reports. Dr.
No.
Wilson.
Mr. President,
We
members
have
of the,
another, I guess, we only did BDH. We need to do BDHE.
I thought we did
We did A and
that's
B.
the exhibit.
8A and B.
Probably need to restate the motion then.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Do you include the exhibit?
Yeah, I can restate the motion and we can go through it again. I'll
Exhibit-
restate the motion to
Mr.
approve.
Lane, board, exhibits don't need board approval, only the policy needs board approval.
Okay,
Then we're okay.
We are okay? And-
never mind.
And Mr. Watkins, I did fix the boo-boo that you identified for me last time in the exhibit.
Thank you. Now we're up to 9, staff report. Dr. Wilson.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, I just have 2 items that I'd like you to update you on. The first, it was mentioned a bit earlier in the meeting, our vacancy, our school board seat vacancy. It's my understanding that the county superintendent plans to have that seat filled for our next October, for our first meeting in October. So we have not had discussions with him yet, but I anticipate that in the next week to 10 days we will, if he is going to hit that target of our first meeting in October, just so you're aware of it. And then secondly, to give you an update on some of the work that we're doing, you saw in the agenda here, there was some job descriptions that were posted so that we could begin the process of realigning ourselves the way that we described back in the spring in terms of, having a system that services high school and adult, not just high school, then adult, kind of a one system. And that what brought us our chief academic officers, the directors. In that process, though, we've also talked about kind of what's that next step. And we're excited because I think the alignment that we're creating, we're using kind of a backwards by design approach where we start at the end and work our way back. And then we're going to, in doing that, then we're ultimately going to give an opportunity for our high school students that I think is going to be far better than what it is now. But the question becomes, what's that next step for the adults? And what we've been working towards and working on and talking to the other CTED superintendents is the possibility of pursuing an associate's degree within the CTEDs. And it's not just exclusively an EVIT issue. It's an opportunity that we believe would be important for all CTEDs to either be aware of or be a part of, simply because we believe that we have as CTEDs the ability to be much more efficient and in some ways alleviate some of the weight in the system of the community colleges that currently exist there in terms of wait lists, in terms of wait time, in terms of teaching, the lower level courses and the associates. Now that the community colleges can do the BAs and they can then do the more difficult, higher level, the last 2. And it's actually been a really encouraging, eye-opening, enjoyable conversation that we've had, because I think people see so many different off-ramps and on-ramps of opportunities, whether it's the associates. Today when we were in Cabot, the superintendent there wanted to make sure that in that conversation we also had certificates in addition to the associates, so that there was opportunities that may be more conducive to the work that they're doing. What I also thought was really interesting is that there have been multiple times in which others have said, as a state, if our goal is to hit the 60 by 30, 60% of high school graduates to receive some sort of post-secondary opportunities by 2030, there's got to be multiple pathways, multiple opportunities, multiple streams going into the lake, because what exists now doesn't have the capacity to make it a reality. And we think we fit very well in doing that. And so we're going to keep coming back to you and giving you updates, but it's really been an encouraging and actually exciting venture that we've been pursuing the last few months. And we'll come back to you again in the future to talk more about it, but I just wanted you to be aware of it. It's really exciting.
Thank you. That brings us to agenda item 10A, which is the calendar. Does any board member have an item they would like added to the October 11 meeting?
I would like an update on the ASBA Law conference that you went to.
Dr. Wilson, can you see to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That moves us
And,
to 10.
Excuse me.
Any
I think there's
further
one more.
items?
I think we're going to have some sort of outline or discussion on the wages for the hard-to-fill
Absolutely.
hourly positions.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And just as this is from several meetings ago, but the superintendent's evaluation as it currently exists, it was provided to you, but I know that in years past, there were some questions or concerns with that, and so I'll probably come back to you in October to see if there's any changes or revisions you want to make in order to have that approved by you in time to do the evaluation of the superintendent in November.
Should we have a study session on that with the board members?
We can.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask at the next meeting if they want to or not. That doesn't need to be on next agenda. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, I
That'd be a
think we
good
should.
idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, everybody's going to have some different input if we get together and say that's good and bad. Was that, yeah.
Any other items for next meeting? Now we'll move to 10B.
So move.
Whoops, more?
Call the question.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Call the question.
Okay, do I have a motion?
You do. You
And a
have.
second.
Any discussion?
No,
Why?
that's all in favor.
Call for the vote. Ms. Boggs?
Lane,
Aye.
Covington,
Aye.
Fleetum,
Aye.
Boggs is an aye, Watkins,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
and Hobson.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate your time tonight.